Hey, you're watching Hockey Analytics with Timo Seppa. I wanted to comment on what I heard on 32 Thoughts from Elliotte Friedman. And I am a big fan of Elliott's, going back to when I met him after a presentation of his that he had at the annual coaches conference in Naples, Florida. So this is going back 2 or 3 years ago, whenever that was. So thought he was, as always, funny, insightful, all those things. And so really nice to meet him there and have an ongoing dialogue with him, after the fact. So big fan. However, all right, so on Elliott's take on the Trenin Forbert fight from the other night, and the unfortunate fact that Forbert ended up with a broken orbital after he fell to the ice, and then Trenin hit him, when he was not able to defend himself fully. So, all right, my thoughts on that. So, I mean, first of all, just on the incident, and this is really the kind of more minor piece of what I'll comment on. One is there's fighting in hockey. It's penalized. Obviously, it's penalized by a major penalty. So it's not allowed, but it obviously happens. When you fight, you can get hurt. I was in the building in 2011 when, at that time, the Islanders and the Penguins had a bunch of very contentious games, and Rick DiPietro decided to fight Brent Johnson, and Brent Johnson broke his orbital bone with one punch. And it happens. Obviously, that was straight up, both guys on their feet, but first punch, it happens. I guess it's one thing if you're a fourth liner, but if you, especially if you're a star player, people like to see the Gordie Howe's, Jerome McGinley's, whoever, mix it up every now and then. But I mean, this happens when players fight. Okay, now, did Trenin, did he overstep the unwritten rules of hockey? Maybe. I've heard different takes on this. I spoke to someone who's been an official, and their thought was that it was just a continuation of the fight. This is not like an aggressor situation where someone has won a fight and is continuing to pummel an undefended opponent. So that's one thing. But like the main thing I want to comment on here on is this thought of being the head of the Department of Player Safety just eating guys up, that it's just like the most hated, the most thankless job in hockey. As noted, George Parros has been heading up the department since the beginning of 2017, 2018, I believe, which is my first full season at the NHL. I've just left the NHL, but worked there for almost eight seasons. One of the things that I looked at as far as stats was analytics was player safety, suspensions, and fines. And I'm not going to speak about that here in detail, but I mean, I guess what I'll say is I saw zero evidence of any kind of bias. So I mean, that's one thing. But I've worked with a lot of those people. Certainly met George a couple times. Gave a couple presentations to George. George, and this is my own opinion, does not strike me as someone who is going to get eaten up by this job, who is going to be losing sleep over someone disagreeing with his decision. The From what I know of the people in the Department of Player Safety, they look at a lot of data nowadays. They look at comparable video clips. They've got a library of these things. So their decisions are not willy-nilly, and they're discussed. It's not just George making those decisions on his own. But all right, so the main analytics point here is, like, what do we like to see in stats? What do we like to see in analytics? We like to see large sample sizes. So one of the issues with suspensions and fines, and especially if you go down to just suspensions, is it's almost like the ultimate in small sample size. So it takes you seasons to, the first time I looked at this was probably 3 seasons into Parros' tenure, and you're talking about, I don't remember what it was, less than 200 incidents to look at as far as a sample size. So if you're trying to get, whether you're looking at some kind of analytics on who's getting hit with suspensions or not, or what teams, what players, you need many seasons under the same boss to figure out what those baselines are. And even if you're not looking at this from an analytical point of view, if you're just looking at it from you're a player in the league, you're a coach, GM, owner, whatever, you need to see a track record of the head of player safety to understand where he's coming from, to understand how he's going to rule on various types of behavior. So I think just the opposite of what Elliotte thinks, in that I don't think, my guess is that Parros is not bothered by this at all. I mean, maybe he has other aspirations as far as what he wants to do with the rest of his career, but I don't think he's going to have an ulcer from doing this for a few more years. But on the other side, I think it's a great benefit for everybody involved who's looking at suspensions and fines to understand what the baseline is. It probably takes a season for a new head of the Department of Player Safety to kind of get a hang of what they're doing and kind of define their baseline. And there's no issue with that now, because people know how things are going to be called. So yeah, big fan of Elliott's, but I see this completely differently from him this time. And again, this is from the stats point of view as well. I mean, suspensions, fines, these are you can look at these things analytically. You can look at them as data, and you want as big of a sample as possible. So I am all for having, as long as you have a good head of Department of Player Safety, just keep on chugging with the same guy. That's what I got for today. Thanks for listening. See you next time.